right, welcome to the weekly homework information behavior modification step 5 video. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be analyzing a lot of our baseline behaviors using a target behavior ranking matrix. So before we get into those details, just want to be very sure that we all understand this is continuing in the building of our behavior modification product. So we are still in the baseline phase. We are almost wrapped up with the baseline phase, but because of that, just want to make sure that everybody is continuing to do their Clockify Excel sheet and see homework step 1 for details of that. If you need a refresher, keep doing your mindfulness training. So check out homework step 2 for those details. Keep your logic training going. So watch homework step 3 for those details. And then also your daily writing, which we started last week. Keep going with your daily writing. See homework step 4 for those details. We are going to start modifying a lot of those behaviors very soon. But as we've been learning in the course, measuring behavior is the first step. So we've been doing a lot of measuring behavior here because that is a very important first step. And if you want to know if you've modified behavior, you got to measure behavior. So if you were really hoping like, oh, we're going to start modifying behavior soon, it's coming. It is the most exciting part, but we need to develop that baseline measurement phase first. And that's what we're doing here. We got to put in the work in order to reap the benefits later on. But we are wrapping up our baseline phase. That modification is going to come real soon. And because of that, we want to make sure that once we get to the phase where we're actually modifying behavior, we make it as maximally beneficial for you as possible. So that is one of the reasons why I chose the behaviors that I did. I chose mindfulness, I chose logic, I chose a daily writing practice, because those have been shown to be very beneficial for students, especially as they're going through their academic career. But it's also why it was very important to for you to measure your own behavior using Clockify and to choose your own behaviors, because the hope was that you would choose behaviors that were important to you and behaviors that you would likely want to modify in order to improve your own well-being, your own quality of life. So now that we have measures of a number of different behaviors, now we're going to start modifying them. But we want to make sure that we modify behaviors that are the most important, the ones that are going to have the most impact once they're modified. And to do that, we're going to do our target behavior ranking matrix. So this is based on how to prioritize target behaviors. So if you haven't watched that video, highly suggest check that video out for a background on what we're going to be doing here. Link in the description. But basically what you're going to do is you are going to open up this Excel sheet and you are going to use the 9 questions here to rank your target behaviors in terms of whether or not they should be modified. So not just how important they are to you, but you'll see there's also things like how successful will this behavior, how likely is the success of this behavior, how many opportunities are you going to have to modify this or to use this new behavior. So all of these things are important to determine which behavior we want to modify. And it's not just the one where we might want to change it the most based on personal preference. We need to do an analysis of these behaviors to make sure that we're maximizing its impact, its beneficial impact on your future. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be working through this Excel sheet for the 6 Clockify behaviors that you have control over. So if you recall previously in the instructions for the Clockify behavior, I asked you to at least record 6 behaviors where you have control over the duration of that behavior. You have control as to whether or not you can make that behavior longer or you can make that behavior shorter. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this analysis for those 6 behaviors, and we're just going to number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm doing this in order to protect your privacy and in order that you feel free to modify whatever behavior you want to modify. So let's say that you want to modify how long you study, and you don't want to admit to your professor that you study for 5 minutes a day, right? Let's say it's something really, really small. You study for 5 minutes a day. You want to modify that behavior. You want to increase the duration of the behavior. That's great. Let's do it. I don't want your privacy to be a barrier to you improving your skills and improving your life. So that's why we're doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Highly recommend somewhere have a key to which behavior is behavior number 1, which behavior is behavior number 2. Or if you want to, you can modify the Excel sheet and you can just put in, if you feel comfortable, you can put in, studying, right? So whatever you are comfortable with, you can keep it anonymous if you want to. You can keep it private if you want to, absolutely. But put in those 6 behaviors that you can either increase or decrease, and then choose ones that you would want to increase. So things like the amount of time that you study, things like maybe the amount of time that you journal, the amount of time that you practice a language, for example, the amount of time that you spend walking, things that you might want to increase. And then also, hopefully you got things that you might want to decrease as well. So things like, how long does it take you to make your bed? How much time are you spending on streaming, services? You might want to bring that down. Basically, how long are you spending on bad behaviors that you might want to decrease? So put those ones in your Clockify. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 potential target behaviors. They are potential behaviors for modification. And then we also have the meditation behavior. We have the logic puzzles, and we have the writing. And then what you're going to do is for each of these, you are going to rate on a scale from 0 to 4 answers to these 9 questions. So the key here is up here. So it goes from 0 to 4. So you have 0 for no or never, 1 for rarely, 2 for maybe sometimes, 3 for probably usually, and 4 for yes always. So question number 1, does this behavior pose any danger to yourself or to others? So I don't know what your 6 behaviors here are, but for meditation, I would say that would be a 0, at least for me. Logic puzzles, a 0. Writing, a 0. It doesn't pose a danger to me. It doesn't pose a danger to somebody else. But maybe, you have a behavior here that does pose a danger. So you might say, you know what, maybe sometimes it poses a danger. So you would put a 2 in that behavior. And then what this Excel sheet will do is it will automatically start totaling up your behaviors here, and it will automatically put them in a ranking of which behaviors to modify. So you would want to go through and answer each of these questions. So how many opportunities will you have to use this new behavior? Or how often does this problem behavior occur? So if the behavior happens all the time, right, then you would say, okay, that's a 4 because it always happens. But if the behavior happens extremely rarely, you would pop in a 1. If the behavior never happens, we're not going to have any of those because we've been recording these behaviors. But, based on how frequently it occurs, you would rate it from 0 to 4. And then you would continue doing that for all of the questions here. So how long standing is this problem or skill deficit? Basically, how long has this been going on for? Is this a new behavior that started last week? Is this a chronic behavior that's been going on for years? And you're going to work through all 9 of these questions, and you will end up with you're not going to have 5s. You'll end up with a matrix of behavioral rankings here. So we're just going to populate these real quick. All right, so once you get down to this final question, you're going to have answers for all of these behaviors. And then what this Excel sheet will do for you, it will total these up. Now, you might have noticed if you were paying really close attention that the first question was weighted twice as much as every other question. And that's because it's, in my opinion, twice as important, at least, than every single other question. Does this behavior pose a danger to you or others? That is extremely important. So that's one thing to take away from this, is that when you're doing your behavioral ranking matrix, in the future, not for this course, but in the future, you can differentially weight the importance of these questions depending upon your own judgment of it, or depending upon a particular, whatever the situation is. You can change the weights of these. These are not set in stone. So for this assignment, I doubled the weight of the first question and everything else is equal. Don't change it for this assignment, but just know that in the future, when you do this, you can do that as well. What it will do is it'll give you the totals for each of these behaviors. And then even more importantly than that, it'll give you their rankings. So when you finally say to yourself, all right, we're starting our behavior modification, and Dr. Yudicevich is allowing me to change one behavior. We're going to start by changing one behavior, and I want to change that behavior to improve my life the most. Which behavior should I choose? Well, in this analysis, you should choose behavior number one. That is the most important, most likely to succeed, highest priority behavior according to this behavioral ranking matrix. And then we have from Clockify, behavior number 5 is your second ranking, and behavior number 2 is your third ranking. So basically, this gives you a very nice way of ranking all your behaviors. You can see that behavior 4 and 6 from Clockify are tied for 5th. Meditation and logic puzzles are tied for 8th in this case. Probably that would not be the case if I actually filled this out honestly, but in any rate, fill this out as honestly as you can. It will allow you to identify which behavior is going to have the greatest impact and potential for improving your life. And then that is the behavior that we are going to attempt to change as we move forward in this behavior modification semester-long project. All right, so what do you submit for this behavior modification step number 5? Well, you are still going to submit your Clockify Excel sheet. You're still going to submit your mindfulness training Excel sheet. You're still going to submit your logic training Excel sheet. Still going to submit your daily writing Excel sheet. So make sure that you're still doing all of those for 5 out of 7 days, at least during the week. And then lastly, you're going to submit this target behavior ranking matrix. And that is going to be the 5 things that you're going to submit for this behavior modification step 5 homework. So this is really going to give you a good insight in terms of which behavior you should tackle first as we move on forward with our behavior modification. I'm very excited to get to the behavior modification aspect of this project. But before we do that, we want to make sure that our effort is going to have the biggest impact possible. And that's what this target behavior ranking matrix is. So I can't wait to see what we come up with, and looking forward to changing that behavior. So until next time, stay frosty, stay functional, go prioritize some behavior.